It was a bad, bad thing.
Exactly.
And I wasn't beaten up by skinheads, whatever they say. Yeah, one article said, believe what you want, but rumour has it he was beaten up by some skinheads. Wrong. That's wrong. Skinheads don't exist anymore.
Don't they?
No, they went out all ages ago.
What?
No, I was in a hot rod, one of my own compositions. I had a tyre burst on me
Really?
when I was going along. It was really early in the morning, and there was a sort of wet film on the roads from the dew, you know.
Right.
And wow, it was terrible. I just went along, and the thing just went right across the road.
How long were you in the hospital?
Not long, but with a skull fracture, you have to stay there for 48 hours. Intensive care. They put you in, they watch you all night and see if you're having any funny spells. I mean, I had a busted nose and my face was completely slashed to pieces. But my back was the thing that was killing me more than anything, and they weren't bothered about that. They x-rayed me, after I got into hospital, and no problems there. But that was the thing that was bugging me. And I complained about it, and they said, okay, well, we'll have another look at it. And they found that the small tissues had been pinched, and it was just killing me, and I had to stay there for 3 weeks. Just straight on my back, just absolutely with a board, with a board. And I just felt like death, I wanted to die, I looked in the mirror and I thought, oh Christ, I'm never going to be able to walk out in the street again, My nose was 2 inches off centre, and you can't straighten it until, you can't touch it, you just got to bandages all over, terrible. And then here I am now, like there's not a scratch on me, it's amazing.
You did a performance at the Filmore East, and you felt that was a really important performance. You felt you got something settled there.
Well, we'd heard lots about the wonderful flower power of San Francisco and all the rest of it. But when immediately we hit the stage, people knew that there was no hanky-panky, there was no hype. And they just took us in, and we felt that we belonged to the, San Francisco scene.
Right.
And Rod and me wrote a song at the end of a 6-day period there, at the Filmore.
What song was that?
It was a blues dedicated to Bill Graham and the Filmore, and the whole thing, and the words were just incredible. None of them rhymed, and it was just a humble effort. And we wrote it on the back of a piece of toilet paper, a big sheet of toilet paper. And the kids I've never seen them like anything like it.
No.
They thought that was just about right. And they were just jumping up and down, before we even started, because they liked the idea of us writing the song for them. They all stood up straight away. They all stoned out of their brains, and absolutely. If they practiced it for 10 weeks, they couldn't have got it. They were just up like that, and that was really the most moving thing. But they'd been good audience, aside from that. I mean, that wasn't just a good point about the thing. The whole 6 days there, was building and building. First night, it wasn't very good because nobody was aware of what we were putting down, And Janis Joplin was there a couple of times, Sly, and we began to play to their audiences, and it was great because I don't think we'd have done any business and if we hadn't had somebody that's powerful as them there. But as soon as they drew these big audiences and we had to play to them, we started pulling things out of the bag.
What's the first guitar, that you ever got a hold of?
A friend of mine had a guitar with a beaten up old acoustic thing. Had about 1 string on it. And that's all I needed because I couldn't use it anymore. 1 string was plenty for me to grapple with. And that broke. And where were we going to get another one from? I don't know. I used bits of old piano wire and stuck it on.
You made your own guitars?
Yeah, I made a guitar. The first one I made was out of a piece of cigar box. And then I progressed onto that. Cut out the front and the back out of plywood and made and steamed around the sides, made some thin wood and steamed around the edges, glued it all together. My old man threw it out in the garden because I had a row with him. Took the whole thing and threw it out in the garden, rusted it. And I had so little money, you see, that was the thing, I wanted to do so much and didn't have any money, this was the thing. And I'd go down to the shop and wait till the place was pretty packed out, and I just whipped one of these pickups right out of the shop.
Did you? That's right.
It was about £2, this pickup. That's about $6, something like that. And, oh boy, I couldn't have cared if I had thrown in jail for 6 months. I had my pickup, and there was a little hole cut in the guitar that had been waiting for that pickup for about 8 months, and it fitted perfectly because I'd already got the dimensions from a plan.
Right.
And it just slipped in there with 2 screws, and that was it. Boy, I was a king. And I used to deliberately carry my guitar around without a case so that everyone could see what it looked like. Used to ride a bike with it, stick it on my back and ride a bicycle. I could see then that it wasn't, just a fly-by-night thing, because the expressions on people's faces when they saw this weird guitar, that was something else. It wasn't something boring like a violin, or a sort of sax in a very stock-looking case. It was bright yellow, bright fucking yellow, this guitar, and all these wires and knobs on it. People just freaked out. And I got my first gig at a fairground somewhere. Just boogies around there with that, playing Eddie Cochran stuff then, and nobody was into it. It was all past.
Did you ever have any training or lessons?
No, not on the guitar. Well, I went for one lesson on a Spanish guitar, because there was rumours going around my school that you couldn't possibly play any electric guitar, unless you had proper classical training. And I was a bit thick then, I said, right, okay, where do we start? And went straight up to the guy. Straight up to him, and he knew less than I did. I said, now listen here, if I'm going to get on, I better just leave and go home. Because he didn't even have the bar chords right, I'd read up before my first lesson, I'd swatted up, and I'd learned a few shapes and stuff. And I was expecting this man to teach me just everything, in about a couple of minutes. And he said, right, now practice this. And no playing, he just said, practice putting your finger across there. And I went like that. I said, right, where do we go now? He said, well, that's it. I want you to go away and practice that for a week. I said, well, I want to at least hit the strings once. No way.
That's great. What was your first experience with feedback?
Well, that was unavoidable, because playing in small clubs, you're always getting feedback because of bad systems, and really the electrical thing hadn't been sewn up. All the amps were underpowered and screwed up full volume and always whistling, and my amp was always whistling. And I'd kick it and bash it, and a couple of tubes would break, and I was playing largely on an amp with just one output valve still working, and it would feed back, and I decided to use it rather than fight it. It was hopeless trying to play a chord, because it would just so then when I progressed onto a bigger amp and I didn't get feedback, I rather missed it. I'd rather went to hit a note and there was no distortion, too clean, it was horrible. So the ideal thing was to get the beauty of the feedback, but controllable feedback.
Had Eric been using feedback?
No. I never heard him.
When you smashed guitars, it was more out of frustration or anger than as opposed to a theatrical part?
Either the amp was blown up, or my guitar was out of tune, or Keith was coughing and spluttering on stage. He used to use a respiratory spray, and right in the blues solo you could hear this with this respiratory thing. Oh Christ! I mean, there's nothing more frustrating than going on with so much to say and so much in your mind and not being able to put it out. There's only one way out: break that guitar.
How many guitars did you break with the Yardbirds?
I never broke them. You can't break Fenders. I mean, unless you swing them around full blast. I used to just give angry little jabs at the speaker, and if it completely went up in a cloud of smoke, I was happy. But if it just stayed there stubbornly, I wouldn't move, and it was still crackling at me, I'd just, I'd give it some stick. Now I'm just perfecting my technique, really. I'm not really going anything.
Did you ever consciously try to do any theatrics on stage,
Well, I never wanted to work something out before. I thought, well, while I'm playing, I've got to move, so let's see if I can roll it all into one without actually, working at it.
Right.
And I used to just sort of do little steps and stuff like that, and stuff that wouldn't bother me while I was playing.
Right.
you know, I'd have a little tiny part of my brain working on the stage act, but 99.5% would be working on the thing, on the guitar playing. I used to, oh man, we used to do some outrageous things. Head over heels, and one time I put the guitar down like that with the head facing downwards, and I spun round on it, and it was the best thing I've ever done. I got on the guitar like that, and I'd spun right round like that, and it just came off. You know how things just some you know when you throw a tennis ball and it sticks between the bars of a railing.
Right.
You couldn't do it if you tried in a million years.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, we got bad reviews, man. They said if Beck was to concentrate more on playing than theatrics, you know, like a gymnastic lesson.
I heard things were like you take a guitar and kind of throw it up the audience and play up what was going out and things.
Oh no, I never got in that heavy, really. I always keep my guitar to myself.
Does it bother you, or do you find it a compliment that some people consider you, you know, the greatest rock guitarist ever play? Do you feel that you have to constantly try to be creative and inventive?
Well, it's nice to, you know, it's nice to be on the move, but I don't worry because, well, I've got a little bit of time behind me, 6 years of playing, you know, in front of people, and I just have to. I've got that amount of time to look at. You know what I'm saying? It's not as though I've got to worry. Hey, I've just broken in last week, and I've got to worry. You know, the more time I've got behind me, the better the better I can judge my own progressive or digression or whatever you think.
Do you consider yourself, or what do you think is a flash guitarist?
Oh, absolutely. Why not? Well, I like to play. I don't like to try and baffle people. If people, you know, if chicks are going to stand there and go, huh? Look at each other, you know, what? I'm wasting my time. You know, I want to play notes and stuff and chord construction that they'll understand. You know, I mean, if you're going to hit a chord with you know, like a heavy discord, it may be painful for somebody to listen to. So I've tried to kind of incorporate dazzling playing at the same time, make it commercial. You know.